Join me today on Walk with History as we walk the murder locations of Jack the Ripper in London, England. So to do the timeline, I'm just going to do the 5 original murders of Jack the Ripper. I'm not going to do all the murders that people have attributed to him, because there are some before, there are some after that people have said, but most Ripperologists, all Ripperologists will agree on these 5. So Mary Ann Nichols, also known Polly, is the first one, August 31st, 1888. September 8th, 1888, Annie Chapman. September 30th, 1888, Elizabeth Stride and Catherine Eddowes. And then November 9th, 1888, Mary Jane Kelly. So those are the 5 we're going to walk today. There's also a couple more places related, a bar they would frequent, some of the victims would frequent, and the place where the apron from Catherine Eddowes was found. I am here on Dunward Street, and you can see the sign right here behind me. And this is the area right here where the first victim of Jack the Ripper was found. The body of Mary Ann Nichols was discovered at 3:40 a.m. on Friday, August 31st, 1888 in Bucks Row, which is now Durward Street in Whitechapel. If you want to find this place via GPS, all you got to do is put in Durward Street and it pops right up to this location. So you don't even need an address, just put the street and this is what pops up. She had been in a lodging house with another woman who had seen her. Her throat had 2 deep cuts, one completely severing all the tissue. You'll also hear her called Polly Nichols. Very first victim, Jack the Ripper, here in Whitechapel. My first impressions of Whitechapel as I walked in, a lot of graffiti, lots of garbage, probably not the nicest area of London, but probably not as bad as it was in 1888 either. One week later, after the first victim, Polly Nichols, was found, here at 29 Hanbury Street in the backyard was the body of Annie Chapman, discovered approximately 6 a.m. near the steps of the doorway of the back of this establishment, which is no longer, of course, this establishment. And as in the case of Mary Ann Nichols, Polly Nichols, her throat was severely cut by 2 deep cuts. An inquest happened and her murder, and Elizabeth Long described having seen her standing outside 29 Hanbury Street, so right here at about 5:30 a.m. in the company of a dark-haired man wearing a brown deerstalker hat and a dark overcoat and a shabby, genteel appearance. And according to her, the witness said, "Will you?" and Chapman said, "Yes." All the victims of Jack the Ripper were prostitutes. So will you have sex for money? And her answer was yes. So right out here was Jack the Ripper. They went around back afterwards. The deerstalker hat is significant because there have been depictions of Jack the Ripper, and the deerstalker hat is the hat that like Sherlock Holmes wears, where there's a bill on the front and a bill on the back, and Sherlock Holmes specifically wore it so people wouldn't know which direction he was facing to kind of throw people off. I guess it was a very common hat of the time in the 1880s in Victorian London, but that is what the witness said the person was wearing. This area knows what it's known for, Jack the Clipper right there on the barbershop. They obviously are well aware of their tourist interest in the area. So I am here in the East End of London, but I have stopped here before when we did the tour. So like I said, Jack the Ripper was called the Whitechapel Killer or Leather Apron, or the Whitechapel Murderer in Leather Apron. And this big Whitechapel is kind of in the vicinity of some of the murders. And it's right across from the 10 Bells, which you can see right here on the corner. So the corner of Fournier and commercial is the 10 Bells. And this is a bar that was frequented by some of the victims of Jack the Ripper. So, like I said, this is right beside this big white chapel too, kind of foreboding. And then the 10 Bells bar, where the victims, some of the victims of Jack the Ripper actually partook and drank at. The night of the double murder, when Catherine Eddowes is killed, Elizabeth Stride is killed first. And it happens in the early morning of Sunday, September 30th. Her body is discovered approximately 1 a.m. at Dutfield's yard off Berner Street, which is now Henrique Street. So we're on Henrique Street right now. Her body was discovered in basically the schoolyard here of Harry Gosling Primary School. So basically across this fence in the schoolyard is where her body was discovered. The cause of death was a single clear-cut incision. There were no further mutilations of her body besides just the cut to the neck, which leads people to believe that he was disrupted during the killing. And that's why there's a double murder this night. So Elizabeth Stride is killed, so is Catherine Eddowes. Several witnesses informed police that a man had been close to the area, giving different descriptions of him. So I want my viewers to understand, we're in East End London, Whitechapel. At the time, 1888, this is a rough neighborhood. Lots of prostitution, lots of alcohol, lots of what they call doss houses. So doss houses are like just stay-by-night houses, basically what a hooker would use, but you wouldn't really have sex in the house. You would have sex like in outside areas. A doss house is basically, it would cost a couple pennies to stay there. And you could get a bed if you paid a little bit more. You could get like a rope that they hung across the room that you could lean on for a little bit less. And they would put as many people as they could in one room. Mitri Square in London, and this is like right in the heart of London, probably a financial district, lots of big buildings, some of that cool architecture is around here. And I found this to Catherine Eddowes. So she is the fourth victim of the original 5 of Jack the Ripper, and her body was found here. Her throat had been cut from ear to ear. So this is the second murder of the night after Elizabeth Stride had been killed. The early mornings of Sunday, September 30th, 1888. Elizabeth's body is found at 1 a.m. and then at 1:45 is when Catherine's body was found. But this is a nice little park in this industrial area. I'll take film of this, but I found this here. Mitri Square, M-I-T-R-E, Mitri Square, if you're looking for this. Of New Golston and Golston. And right in this general vicinity is where the apron of Catherine Eddowes was found. A piece of her dress, a piece of her apron, was found here in a doorway. And almost as if the murderer had washed their hands and used it to kind of clean off their hands. There was a spigot out here, so used the water to wash their hands. But there was some writing on the wall here. And right underneath where the apron was found, there was like some graffiti on the wall. People have attributed that to Jack the Ripper. It's racist. It says the Jews are the men who will not be blamed for nothing. Some people think that Jack the Ripper was a Polish barber, so maybe saying something racist. I don't know. In my opinion, this is a double murder. This is the night of the double murder. This is the night where Jack the Ripper was almost caught because he was caught in the middle of killing somebody, so he was caught mid-murder. I don't think he's going to take the time to write something on the wall. I think he's trying to get away. I think he's still kind of excited. And what's interesting is those murders, Elizabeth Stride is the farther out, then Catherine Eddowes moves further in. The apron's here as you get closer to 10 Bell's Pub, as you get closer to where Mary Kelly was found. So as you get closer to where Annie Chapman was found. So I think the Ripper lived more in this vicinity, killed farther out, killed Elizabeth Stride farther out, then killed Catherine Eddowes closer, and then washed their hands here, and then made it back to 10 Bell's Pub in that area. It's neat from this area is you get a little piece of that famous building. Right there, you get to see the top of it. This is Miller's Court. So this is where the last victim, the most mutilated victim, Mary Jane Kelly, was found. So it's actually like right close to this Jack the Clipper barbershop as well. So it's actually in a perfect vicinity if you want to find. I think it's probably between these two buildings is where Dorset Street used to be. Because he had a room accessible to him, because he had time, her body was mutilated. So they attribute this as the last murder. For sure, that was Jack the Ripper. And again, took the time and was just the same types of cuts and the same types of organs were focused on. And again, because the room was available, and Mary Kelly was also a prostitute. So again, we're in the same vicinity. Like I can see the 10 Bells bar from here. So this is all in the same general vicinity. I didn't walk far to get to Annie Chapman. It's Polly Nichols that was a little bit ways away, but this is all in the same vicinity. Again, we're going 1888, the end of 1888, 5 murders, the 5 original, the 5 that riptologists are for sure are attributed to Jack the Ripper. So we're in the Jack the Ripper Museum. Patricia was so great when I walked in, very nice. This is a great way to either start your tour or end your tour. This is the sitting room. This is how Jack the Ripper's sitting room might have looked. Some believe he was a professional man with knowledge of anatomy, perhaps a surgeon. So just a recreation of what a gentleman's 1800s Victorian sitting room might have looked like. Here's the letters. On October 16, 1888, George Lusk, the president of the Whitechapel Vigilance Committee, received a 3-inch cardboard box in the mail. Inside was half a human kidney along with a letter. Found it very similar to the one removed from Catherine Eddowes, although the findings were inconclusive. Okay, so this is what the police constable, what it might have looked like. Again, trying to piece together the murders. They have suspects. These are some of the original suspects you hear about. This is the one everyone kind of thinks was Jack the Ripper. This is the Polish butcher. Here's some of the original stuff that Police Constable Watkins had on him. So he's the one who found Catherine Eddowes.
No, nothing.
So I just finished the Jack the Ripper Museum. It was awesome. I definitely recommend going. If you're in London, they have some great books, they have great stuff in the gift shop, but they have artifacts related to the case. They have everything that Police Constable Watkins had on him the night that he found Catherine Eddowes' body in Mitry Square. So that was very cool. The staff, Patricia, was very friendly, very nice, well done museum. Really focuses on the lives of these women, which all in all is what really brought to light with these murders was the hard lives that impoverished people were living in the East End and how difficult their lives were and just how desperate and sad and depressing. And so a lot of focus was placed on that, and then the government came in to kind of help and change that. So if anything, Jack the Ripper, the murders put focus and change to what really was a terrible way of life for people in the East End of London. The museum really focuses on the women and their lives, which I appreciate, and not so much the murderer. But if you ever get a chance, please come in and visit. I had a great day walking the locations. For all you Ripperologists out there who wanted to see it, I was one too, and it's just a childhood dream come true to walk all these places and to see all these places. So if you have any suggestions for me, I hope this was for my true crime fans, something they really wanted to see, and just let me know if you have anything else. But on to my next Walk with History.